my diagnosis experience was like when I first found out. I was a little bit upset over because the person that gave it to me just lied to me, and after I found out about it, I dealt with it, and I dealt with it in a positive way, not a negative way. That it's not a death sentence, and you can live from it. Some people have lived 10 years, some people have lived 20 years. All depends on how you take your medicine and take care of your body. And I'm blessed to still be here, and I hope with people that getting it, it's an encouragement that life does and will go on. My experience starting treatment was having a positive person as a role. It could be a caseworker, or it could be a doctor leading you in the right direction. And the right direction is if you have people that are positive that can tell you different stuff about you, how important your medicine is to take. And if you take your medicine as scheduled, don't miss it, you'll be fine because you have other symptoms that could create. That's why you have to stay on track and do what you're supposed to do. So it wasn't a real problem after being with positive people. You have a positive relationship with your doctor or your nurse, dietitian, or however. If you that works when you have positive people around you, and with that you can make it. Disclosing to others how you would handle that and how I would handle that in a way that you're supposed to know because you can get in trouble by being with someone without letting them know. And it's best before anything goes further, you let them know. So if they have any bad feelings or whatever, you can start at the beginning. Because after you get involved and then you want to tell them, then that's going to cause some distance in the relationship. So before you start a relationship, it's best to disclose and let them know so they'll know what they're getting into. And it's not a death sentence. It's something that you can work out. And now they have something out there that can help you with, without catching it. And it's not 100%, it's 99%, but it's best to tell the person so the other person can get treated as well as you getting treated, even though you're not going to get better, but it is something that can make you live longer. And the way you have to conceive it and take it is that everybody has to die of something, and it's really not a death sentence as long as you take your medicine and do what you're supposed to do. One of the most important things I would say right now is things out there that can help you prevent of getting HIV. Don't always use protection. Do not use unprotected sex. And if you're gonna have unprotected sex, go and get yourself checked because now is the time that they have stuff out there that can prevent you from getting HIV. And it's something that wasn't back then. But a condom is what, $10, and some places you can get them free. But a condom could save your life. A condom can keep you from having to take medicine every day. One condom, or you can go and get what they call PrEP, and you can get that, and it's about the same as a condom. So you're looking at a balance scale. Do I want to live or do I want to die? But the positive thing that I'm trying to explain to you is just uh, fix it before it happens. And by fixing it before, use protection. Get yourself checked. Go check if they tell you to come. Get yourself checked. It won't take but 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a lifesaver.
My diagnosis experience was difficult at the beginning. I was 18 years old. I was still finishing high school. Um, I knew that it was going to be a life changing experience. There was a lot of changes in my original plans once I finished high school. But it was hard because it was in the 80s, early 90s. There was no medication at that point. So the hope that I get for some of the stuff was just make a plan for only 10 years because that's how long you're gonna last. So it was difficult. It was difficult. It's time changed and everything is changed. There's a lot of options right now for a newly diagnosed client, but in my time, 26 years, 28 years ago, it was difficult. My experience getting treatment, it was challenging. It was challenging. That time I was working with the Department of Health. That time the protocol to start medication was different. At that point, I shouldn't be using medication according to the protocols, but I want to take care of myself, so I advocate for myself, and I was able to start medication. It was a really high risk medication. It was the only medication available in 91, 92. It was ACT. A lot of people passed using the medication. I was one of the lucky that never have any side effect with it. Um, but after that, I have done a few changes, and I've been using my medication for 26 years, never stop. I have switched to different regimen, depending what new medications come out. But it was at the beginning, it was challenging. It was challenging. Um, at this point, after all this year, I handle disclosure differently. It's depending who is the person that I decide to disclose. Um, when I get diagnosed, I was 18 years old. It was a difficult time. I was in another country. I was in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, it's hard to be an HIV positive person. Um, I look for people that I know that are going to be my support. Fortunately, it was not my family. My family, I came for a 7 day Adventist family, and it was hard for them dealing with the fact that I was a gay person. So I decided not to disclose it to my family. I hid it from my family for 10 years. So I concentrate in friends and the case manager that I have at that time, the staff from the clinic that I was getting services. And I look for people that will be supporting for me. So it's depend. In my case, in my experience, I have a different levels of disclosure depending who's the person that I have to disclose. Something that I want to share and I want to emphasize that I think has been a key during the whole process of my life. I've been living positive, HIV positive for more than 50% of my whole life. I think is people should look for help, look for having a good support system, knowing that there's medication, there's at this point HIV. Some people call it the new diabetes. Is is a disease that you can uh, have control and have a normal life. Being positive about it. Reach out. Don't enclose yourself thinking that you're less than other people. There's a lot of things that you can give out. Even when you're a positive person, you can have a really positive life, a healthy life. There's hope. There's hope. There's opportunities to have a healthy life and be proud of yourself. So I think that the best thing that I want to emphasize is then look out for a good support system. Look out for treatment. There's a lot of good treatments outside, and be positive. Be positive about it.
My diagnosed experience was scary at first. Scary because although I was informed of what HIV was, and almost informed on the process of what happens after, it was scary to actually live it. It was a moment of serious vulnerability because I had never been in a position like that where I had to um, be honest about certain things that I had done that might have put me in those situations. And being honest about those situations kind of made me feel like I had to relive them, and felt a little bit of guilt. But after that, it wasn't as bad. But that was probably the worst part about my diagnosis. My experience in starting treatment was at first fearful but relieved shortly after. The great thing about starting treatment was the knowledge that I gained, the confidence that I gained in knowing that I was going to be okay and that I was still going to be able to live a healthy life. I had a very poor perception of what medication could do. In my area, in the hood, you would hear things like, "Oh, the medication is what kills you. Don't take the medication if you ever get diagnosed," and that was what my peers were saying. But although I was hearing those things, I was willing to try whatever I could to stay alive, basically. So, in going in and starting a study, I actually started a study with Orlando Immunology. And that is where they do like a trial where they give you medications to basically make sure that the medications actually do work. Um, and I wanted to do it not simply because I wanted to live, but also because I wanted to be able to help other people live. So I knew that this would be an opportunity that even if it meant a sacrifice, it was something that was well worth sacrificing for. Now I handle disclosure in a totally different way. In the beginning, after being diagnosed, I was so ashamed of my diagnosis, simply because of the stigma that was attached to it. Um, when I would disclose it to people, it was almost like immediately. So if someone was interested in me or I was interested in someone, the conversation pretty much went like, "Hi, my name is Prashad. I'm HIV positive." Um, and for a while, it went that way until I started getting so many negative responses, and not negative responses as if someone was putting me down or putting me to shame, but negative responses as in it wasn't the response I wanted. They would say things like, "Hey, I think you're a cool guy, but I just don't think that you're ready to date right now." And I didn't understand why someone would think that, because if you think that I'm a cool person, why would you think I'm not ready to date now? But I later on got the answer that if you feel that you need to tell someone something that's that personal about yourself before you can even tell them your favorite color or your favorite hobby or what you even do for a living, then that must have that much of a hold on you, and you may need to deal with those feelings or confront that before you can move on to be in a relationship. I think it's important to share knowledge and emphasize that knowledge is important, that education is important, especially when it comes to when it comes to HIV, because so many people are not living, so many people are sacrificing or losing their opportunities at life because knowledge is not there. I know that not everyone is privy to some information. I know that resources are not always that easy to find in different areas, but I think that knowledge is something that can be spread easily by word of mouth. We can spread rumors very easily, which lets me know that we can spread knowledge even quicker.
Well, my diagnosis experience is a lot different from others, being that I was born positive. But I was told when I was about 16 years old at camp, after I discovered it myself. So for me, it wasn't the greatest because I found out on my own. My family hadn't told me, so it was a really bad experience. Well, I've been on treatment my whole life, so I wouldn't be able to say what my experience was like. Well, disclosure has pretty much been easy for me since I found out I was positive, only because I was so young and I didn't realize um, really how significant it is to people. So for me, it was really easy to say it. Eventually, I learned not everyone needs to know. What I think is important to share and emphasize on is that HIV and AIDS doesn't look like what you think it looks like. So many people are afraid of it because of what they've seen in the past. There are people that look healthy, healthier than some of the healthiest people you may know that are HIV positive. So it is important to understand that there's no look to HIV. It can be anybody.